You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Recording this just a few minutes after Auburn wrapped things up against Missouri, 55-54. Let's be very honest. Auburn should not have won that game. They had no business winning that game. So we'll touch on this game, and then we'll be joined by the folks from the War Report for a little War Report Wednesday. This game will be remembered as Katie Johnson saving Auburn's fantastic season and allowing Auburn to hold on to that number one seed for a little bit longer. Because if Katie Johnson does not explode in the second half, Auburn loses this game. And look, this is something I think we need to expect. If you're listening to this, you probably follow the Auburn Tigers. This is something you probably need to expect every time Auburn plays outside of Auburn Arena moving forward. They are the hunted. They talked about that a little bit in the broadcast, but I mean, the mentality changes. I mean, you're going to get everyone's best game. And look, I talked Missouri up a little bit. I still think Auburn should have won by double digits, when it comes down to straight talent and ability. And the broadcast wanted to talk about matchups. Basketball is about matchups and it's not about rankings. And yeah, that's true. But this game should not have been close. It's okay for Auburn to have had a bad game. The fact that they played as putrid as they did and they still found a way to win on the road in the SEC, you take that. You take that. And you're able to, if you're Bruce Pearl or anybody on this coaching staff, you're able to look at all of this and say, okay, we have a ton to improve on, and you still found a way to win the game. And also, just another note, at the end of the season, when you're playing in the tournament, whether it's the SEC tournament or the NCAA tournament, this is how those games end. And so it's just another rep that this team got to go through together. But we mentioned Katie Johnson, 17 points. He still wasn't efficient on the night, 6 of 13 from the floor, made 4 of his 5 free throw attempts. That's great. But I mean, not an outstanding game by him. Jabari Smith was 2 of 15 from the floor. That will not happen again this season. 2 of 15 for Jabari. That's a night that he wants to have back. Zep was 1 of 3. He made one of his 3-point shots. Kessler was an inefficient 5 of 10. Normally he's 7 or 8 of 10 or 9 of 11. He had 13 points. Allen Flanagan was 1 of 6. Wendell Green was 2 of 9. Jalen Williams 1 of 4. You never see that. The one he made though was important. Auburn was down. They could get nothing going in the first half, and he made a 3 from the corner. That kind of helped Auburn start things off and get going. But I mean, all of these lines are terrible. And then Dylan played 7 minutes and he had 3 fouls in 7 minutes. He was 1 of 2 from the floor. So, that is what it is. But this team was not very good. And I don't think there's really any other way to put it. But man, you just look at, I love plus minus, and most folks were in the negative. Except, interestingly enough, Dylan in the 7 minutes had the highest plus minus with +4. And then you had Zep Jasper with +3, Wendell Green with +3, and Jalen Williams with +3, which surprises me a little bit. But all those guys were very scrappy. Hey, and Devin Cambridge didn't really get things going offensively, just 2 of 8 from the floor. Once again, everyone was just incredibly inefficient shooting the basketball. But Devin, from a rebounding standpoint, was incredible. Devin Cambridge had 9 offensive rebounds. If that does not happen, Auburn does not lose. Heck, if Devin only gets 8 offensive rebounds, Auburn may have lost that game. And so, it's just different folks stepping up every single game, and they do it in different ways. But I think the positive spin on all of this is I don't think Auburn can shoot worse than what they just did, especially guys like Jabari. 2 of 15, that should be encouraging for Auburn fans to look at and say, okay, all right, that was the worst you could possibly play. and you still found a way to win. So props to Missouri. Missouri played really aggressive defense. They played physical. And I think, for the most part, I think their fans did the best that they could to create a hostile environment. And so this is what you're going to expect. I mean, we've talked about this before. Auburn has to go play at Arkansas. They have to play in Gainesville. I mean, there's a few other road trips in all of this for the rest of the season that are going to be tricky, that are going to be tough for the Tigers, just because that's the nature of the SEC this season. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, Auburn, I'm just trying to see if any more stats stand out. 10 of 21 from layups. Just bad. Just not good. Just 7 second chance points off of 13 turnovers, only 6 fast break points. This is not how Auburn wants to play basketball. Missouri did an outstanding job making Auburn uncomfortable every single possession. And Auburn just kind of found a way to win. I mean, if Missouri just shot a little bit better, obviously they would have gone away with a victory. But man, just some of the stuff that happened at the end, like with Missouri chanting overrated after the game, it's like, believe in your dudes. Like, that's the biggest loser energy I've ever seen in my life, where your team plays, you lost to the number one team in all of college basketball by a point, and you're focused on attacking the other team, not saying, hey, good job, guys, I'm going to support you guys. No, you're worried about saying overrated to the other team because you don't believe in your guys and you realize how bad of a basketball team you actually are. Like, that is major loser energy. And so that's something that, if I'm a prominent figure in Missouri athletics, you need to call some people out, because that's ridiculous. It's not what you want. That is not what you want. But props to Katie Johnson once again. I mean, the closer, what he did Tuesday night was he closed the game. That 3-point play was electric. Him attacking the basket was electric. And then him bailing out his teammates in the final possession of the game. And, I think the way Auburn kind of had that fortunate bounce at the rim, and then it goes to Kessler, and Kessler kind of gets the rebound, and it doesn't go in, which is almost better, because then it bounced out, and, just enough time went off the clock. And so that was something that was fun. It was really, really fun. But yeah, Auburn takes on Oklahoma on Saturday. And, we'll see how that one goes. The fact that it's in Auburn Arena makes me feel fairly confident about the game. Auburn shouldn't lose at home this year. It's the away ones for, reasons that we just saw. It's hard to win on the road. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I'm going to talk about some of the other Bruce Pearl news. I'm going to use air quotes here. News that broke with the War Report guys in just a moment. Hey, I want to tell you guys about an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. Get Upside. My listeners are earning cash back for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in your phone's app store right now and use promo code SCORE for 25 cents per gallon or more for your first fill up. Cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Use promo code SCORE. You can cash out anytime you want, directly to your bank account, your PayPal account, an e-gift card for Amazon and other big brands. Just download the free Get Upside app. Use promo code SCORE to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back on your first tank. That is promo code SCORE. Today's show also brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. If getting fit is part of your New Year's resolutions, Built Bar makes eating healthier just a little bit easier. If you're craving something sweet or some chocolate, Built Bar is the answer. Most bars have around 130 to 150 calories with 17 grams of protein, very low in sugar, very low in carbs. Some bars are extremely keto friendly. Be sure to check them all out at built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15. That is built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 at checkout. It's time for a little War Report Wednesday action. Mike G, C-Dub, gentlemen, have you seen the latest thing on social media that has made Auburn fans go absolutely bonkers? Absolutely crazy. This Dominic Yates guy, who I'd never heard of him. Have you guys heard of him before this?
No, I have not.
Not till you mentioned him to me.
Yeah. But Here's his tweet that he put out. He said, sources tell me if Chris Mack, which is Louisville's head basketball coach, is gone as Louisville's coach, here are some names of interest: Kenny Payne, Bruce Pearl, Will Wade, of course, with LSU, Nate Oates with Alabama. Then he says, not saying there's interest from Louisville, but I'm told Pearl, quote, wants it badly. Payne, also strong interest. So all these folks on social media are saying that it's cap, that it's ridiculous. It's like, why would Bruce leave at this point? But what did you guys think when you saw this quote unquote news, assuming it's legitimate?
Okay, so this is one of these Twitter things. I remember reading a guy put out on Twitter, 80% chance Caleb Williams comes to Auburn. Right. And I laughed at that because I was just like, all right, dude, like, I'm not sure how you would know that, but
would have been nice though.
Yeah, right. I mean, it just was, everything about that tweet was off. Here's my deal with this guy, right? He's saying that he's hearing that there's strong interest from Bruce Pearl's side.
Yeah,
right?
Wants it badly.
Yeah, wants it badly, right? Now, let me tell you, what's at Louisville that he could possibly want? Let's break this down for a second. This man is literally in the middle of a national title run right now.
Yeah.
But possibly the number one overall seed in the tournament. He's currently the number overall team. So it's not like you're at some school where you cannot achieve college basketball heights, right? He's had 3 straight years with one and dones. And so getting talent to Auburn is not the problem. He's about to produce the number one overall draft pick in the NBA draft. And he's 2 years removed from a Final Four.
Right.
So beside money and location or some other personal reason that we would have no clue about, I don't know how that could hold any water. How could Louisville be his dream job? Maybe it is. But I've not heard anything that indicates on a personal level that Bruce Pearl, if this job comes open, he absolutely has to take it, right? I don't see it. Back in the day, when Michigan had an opening, and you would hear people talk about how that was Les Miles' dream job, right? And he was going to leave LSU for Michigan, but there was some teeth to that. We knew that he had ties to that school and that he would want to coach there. But ultimately, he didn't go there. That wasn't enough. And he was at an institution where, again, money was not an issue. Money is not going to be the reason that Bruce Pearl leaves Auburn.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Money's not going to be it.
Yeah, he's going to be taken care of. And you got to think he will be receiving more money after this season.
Mm-hmm. Back up the Brinks truck to his front yard and just dump piles of cash there, I mean,
Caesar, there is no amount of money where that comes out where I'm like, yeah, okay, that's too much. Like there's just no amount.
No way.
No, and I love the plausible deniability. I'm told, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to love those stories on Twitter. I'm told, I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
To Mike G's point, I think it has to be personal reasons, but we don't know what his connections to the university is at this point. And I think Bruce Pearl has built up enough cachet, Zach, to where I could see him taking Coach K's job. I could see him going to a big school, but no offense to Louisville, but
it's not what it was.
It's not what it was, and it's not the cachet of your Kansas and those big programs. Like I could understand that, but Bruce has everything that those schools could guarantee him. He's already built it at Auburn.
Right.
And so you're basically what you will do, you leave Auburn. Auburn will be one of the hottest jobs in college basketball. You did that. So if it's one of the hottest jobs in college basketball, why would you leave again, aside from some personal reason?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he seems happy. Like there's no chance he's leaving Auburn. There is no way. I just don't believe it.
I don't think it's a coincidence. What did we see today? That Auburn is getting a new basketball facility.
Yeah,
right?
basketball facility, no timetable, but it appears it appears to be in the works,
and it's a priority. So, sure. I mean, I thought the timing of this was now. This is something that's been at the top of Bruce Pearl's list for a lot of years, and now that he's achieved number one status, people are opening check. But winning solves a lot of things for a coach. right? And he is doing that at a record rate at Auburn. So there's nothing he's going to be able. You're not going to go to Louisville and get anything that you're not going to be able to get here. If you have a winning program at Auburn, the checkbook is open, and we've given him 8 years already. Right. So it's not like there was some hot seat, and has Bruce Pearl ever felt pressed at Auburn?
No,
even early on where like it wasn't clicking, and Auburn started getting these 5 stars, like your Austin Wileys and your Mustafa Heron, and I think it was in the back of everybody's mind where it's like when anybody else gets a 5-star, they get drafted the next year. Like, why is Auburn not being able to put these guys into the league? And then Chuma happened, and Okiki happened, or then Okoro happened. So it's like, okay, all right, we're finally getting somewhere, guys. I was blown away by the Louisville people responding to this quote unquote report, saying, "Nah, I don't want BP. Yeah, I'm fine with some of the others. I don't want BP." I'm like, what?
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Show Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl. Tag Pearl in there. Tag Bruce Pearl in those quotes, right? And just keep that same energy.
We know how fans can keep people away from their institutions. We know how that's a thing. So share. Make sure Bruce Pearl sees that.
Yeah, for sure. Sharon Bass.
No question about it. No question about it, guys. But yeah, I mean, what a crazy thing that's happening right now. I think it's awesome. Hey, today's show brought to you by our friends at betonline.ag. BetOnline wants to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march by making more money every single week by doing what we all love, watching sports. Get in on the action at betonline.ag as it remains your number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. When you sign up and make a free account at betonline.ag and make that first deposit, use promo code LOCKEDON to get a 50% welcome bonus on that first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. War Rapport Wednesday continuing on. Mike G, C-Dub, guys, what are folks missing out on if they're not tuned into the War Rapport?
Check out our page. Come over to our channel, become a patron. We've got a lot of great off-season content. We're covering basketball this season. It's been a blast. Very blessed to be able to cover this team this year. So, we got some film review stuff that we're going to be putting out on basketball as well too. Isaac is working hard on that stuff. So come on over to the War Rapport and partake.
Yep. If y'all are going over the Kentucky game, a lot of pick and rolls to look at, and they're all beautiful. All of them.
Thing of beauty.
Because they just weren't going to cover Kessler. Crazy stuff.
Lob town.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So let's talk a little football on this final segment here, if you want to. No, we got to. So I want to get y'all's thoughts as far as where are you on the spectrum of the sky is falling for Auburn football with the departure of Derek Mason and the shakeup of the coaching staff, or the other side of it where it's like, no, everything's fine. Brian Harson's got it under control. C-Dub, I'll start with you. Where are you with this spectrum right now?
Somewhere in the middle. I got questions.
Okay.
I just got questions. And I understand that when you are assembling a staff and you're bringing on people that you've never worked with before and you're in a pressure cooker like Auburn, it's 50-50. It's either going to work or it's not going to work with your assistants. And Harsin figured out early on it's not going to work. And we saw what happened with Coach Korn. We saw what happened with Bobo. I was surprised with Mason because the thought I had was Mason's going to do well. We're going to have him on a loaner for 2 years.
Right.
He's going to go on, take another head coaching gig, or go off to the NFL where he was heading before Harsin even pulled him in the first place.
I mean, that was the plan, right? And then you promote Schmedding. Right. And then, it doesn't look as bad as, DC from Boise following Harsin over. You kind of disguise it as, well, he was here, linebackers coach for 2 years, and then you promote him up. Yep. Right.
So all this after Auburn would have had a favorable first year, 8-4, worst case 7-5. Some people had 9-3. It's just a progression. These guys are going to do well. All is well. And then these guys move on to bigger and better things. But after going 6-7, and then you see these changes happen, it has to be the sky is falling. And I'm not here to say that it is. I'm just curious about the inner workings and what's happening with the program in terms of Mason leaving. That is a curious situation.
Sure.
You can't really explain that away, and the optics does not look good there. However, we always knew that Schmedding was going to end up being the defensive coordinator when it was all said and done anyway.
Right.
And so I'm not bummed about that per se. It's just I'm scratching my head as to the fact that Mason left Auburn with no job, so to speak. It's not like he needed one, but you would have thought he would have had another job secured before leaving, which makes me wonder what happened there.
Right. Mike G, where are you in all of this?
I'm right in the middle of the spectrum.
Okay. So y'all are about the same here.
Yeah, it's concerning. And I'm with Caesar. I have questions about
it sounds like you guys are a little bit more. I'm not saying you guys are freaking out. The sky is falling, but it sounds like you are hinting a little bit more that way.
It's not. This is not. I just want to say this is not filling me with confidence about the direction.
Yeah.
Right. Because the one side of the ball that showed the most positives, you're replacing the figurehead that was there.
Right
now, whether this was a sudden decision or something was brewing, we don't know. I doubt we ever actually get the truth. Coach Harsin has shown a track record of not throwing people under the bus when he decides to move on, which I do like about him.
Yeah, that's the correct way to handle it.
Yeah, it is the professional and mature way to handle things. However, I'm just saying, this is file this away in the folder of stuff that better work next season after the way that you ended the season. So what the perception is going to be, Zach, regardless of whether it's rooted in this change or not, is that if the defense regresses next year, Mason leaving is part of it. And you filled his shoes with somebody who was less capable. So this is just one of those things that, if you're going this direction, it has to work. It has to work, and it has to help propel you forward. Or other parts of the team are going to have to take significant jumps forward next season to cover, any steps back you take on defense.
Yeah, and you still going to receive criticism for the defense.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
The only way to make the criticism stop is to win. I mean, winning cures everything. People forget, people forgive, people accept when you win. And he knows that. I mean, he's a smart guy. He saw what winning did at Boise.
That's why I say this has to work.
Yeah. And I'm confident in it from the play calling and the scheming and all that. Like, I think Schmedding's going to be fine there. I really do. It's the roster management and like the recruiting aspect of it where I'm like, okay, I think losing Derek Mason's a big deal.
Yeah, I think he was overall, he was well-liked. He was a well-liked coach by the players for sure. Now, people have spoken out in favor of Schmedding. Players have come out and made positive statements about him on social media and have generally supported this move. Not that we would see them not supporting it, right? If they didn't. But it's got to, this coach's seat is warm. It's not hot, but it's warm because you lost 4 or 5 straight games to end the season. He had a chance to get off the warm seat by beating Bama and winning the bowl game. Those things didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And, whether you're on the glass, if you're in the glass half full or empty side, this is concerning. And there's some people that, like us are just right in the middle about this. And it does make me a little nervous for say anytime you are, replacing bricks in your foundation, it's a little bit, there's the unknown is concerning. We know what we had with Mason, at least we think we know what we had. And now you're moving on to what generally is an unknown for the fan base. So it's going to make a lot of people worry.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, that's where I'm at about it. He's got to do, he's shown he's going to do this his way.
I think that's good. And I don't know if he was able to really be given the opportunity to do it his way from day one.
Mm-hmm. It makes me wish that that we didn't go through this charade of hiring Bobo and Mason if we were always going to end up here. It kind of feels like we wasted a year.
Well, and it feels like to me, the Derek Mason hire was his. Like they do a lot of things similarly from a scheme standpoint. I think, as far as their approach to the game on the field, the Bobo thing, I don't think was him. If I'm just being honest, I don't think it was.
And to me, I'm telling you, this is why I'm in the middle, Zach, because this feels like Harsin just got hired again. Even though we've seen a year of him coaching, it feels like he just got hired because this is this almost is an overhaul, especially with your 2 biggest assistants. And it's like, okay, it's like a reboot in year 2 where it has to work.
Yeah,
but
it's your coaches, right? You're going into it without, Gus Malzahn's like longtime quarterback. Like it is a new era for sure.
So again, but while I'm in the middle is at least 8-9 wins. We're not talking. Well, we don't care about what happened at this point, right? And so that's what he's 8 or 9 wins away next year from us talking about something else and being just jazzed about the future. That's just where he is. But again, it remains to be seen what he does come spring, summer, fall, going into the season.
Right.
He writes his own story here.
Totally.
I agree.
Totally. Gentlemen, how can folks one more time get involved with all the stuff that you guys have? You guys have a very active community, and it's really cool to be a part of. So how can people get involved?
Head right over to our YouTube page. We're the War Rapport. We're at the War Rapport on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're TW Rapport on TikTok. You can also find us where podcasts are being streamed.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your time as always, and we will chat again soon. On the pod tomorrow, John Samuel Schenker joins the show to talk about what he's kind of gained, knowledge that he's learned about the new offense, and as well as other things going on. So all that and more on tomorrow's Locked On Auburn.